It was a Tuesday morning just after 10:25. The lobby of the Crestwood Business Center in Riverbend, Virginia, was the kind of place where nothing much happened. Rows of gray armchairs, fake plants, and big ceramic pots, and a front desk manned by someone who hated their job quietly enough to get through it. People came and went, mostly in silence. No one looked too long at anyone else except today. Silas Mercer walked in with a quiet confidence, like a man who knew exactly where he was going. He wore dark jeans, a clean button-down shirt, and carried a black laptop bag slung over his shoulder. His posture was sharp, alert but not aggressive, just focused. On his way through the glass double doors, he nodded politely at the security guard near the desk. No response. Silas made his way to the waiting area, standing near the wall, scrolling through his phone and listening to something in his Bluetooth earpiece. Every now and then he spoke quietly, too quietly for anyone else to make out. To most it looked like a guy preparing for a business meeting, but not to everyone. From behind the curved reception desk, Elysia Thorpe, a new administrative assistant at Graybridge Analytics, squinted at him. She leaned toward her colleague and whispered, "You know that guy?" The other woman glanced up briefly, shrugged, and went back to typing. Elysia didn't let it go. Her eyes narrowed. "He's been pacing, talking to himself. Looks off." She didn't know who he was, but the pieces in her head, dark clothes, Bluetooth, standing alone, clicked in the wrong order. Instead of asking if he needed help, she picked up the desk phone and dialed building security. "Hey, we've got someone out front. Not sure what he's doing. Might want to check it out." She used the words "acting suspicious." That was enough. Upstairs on the 4th floor, Silas's contact at Graybridge was running late. He had no idea what was about to go down downstairs. But 2 officers were already pulling into the lot, responding to a call that left out key details. The dispatch reported a possible suspicious person inside a commercial property. No weapons mentioned, no direct threats, just vague enough to sound low priority, and just pointed enough that it couldn't be ignored. Officer Caius Sterling and his partner, Officer Aria Beaumont, were the closest unit. Both had been on the force for a few years, Sterling the type who took every call too seriously, Beaumont quieter and more observant. Guy in his late 30s, male, black, standing in the lobby, pacing, talking into a Bluetooth. The dispatcher said, "Caller thinks he might be scoping the place out." Sterling looked at Beaumont as they pulled up. "Scoping? Could be nothing or something," Beaumont said flatly. She checked her body cam and stepped inside. Through the window, Elysia watched the patrol car pull in, arms folded across her chest like she was bracing for confirmation she'd made the right call. Silas stayed by the wall, reviewing files on his phone. He shifted, opened a PDF, and whispered into his mic, "Subject confirmed, location secured, waiting for contact." The doors opened behind him. "Sir, can we speak with you for a moment?" Sterling's voice echoed across the marble floor. Silas looked up, confused. "Sure, what's this about?" Mind stepping away from the wall, hands visible. Silas blinked, thrown off. "I'm with the Bureau, just here for a scheduled meeting." "Bureau of what?" Sterling raised an eyebrow. "FBI," Silas said calmly. "Got a Daho on you?" "Yeah," Silas replied, reaching for his bag. "Let me grab it." "Sir, don't reach." Silas froze, hand still. The lobby, already too quiet, became absolutely still. "I just said I'm reaching for my credentials," Silas said, calm but firmer. Officer Beaumont stepped closer. "Set the bag down and open it slowly." Silas knelt, unzipped the bag, placed it on the ground, and said, "My badge is in the side pocket. You can take it out yourself if you'd rather." Sterling didn't move, jaw tightening, as Silas stayed perfectly still. "I'm here to meet with someone from Graybridge Analytics Surveillance Inquiry. You can call Agent Jennifer Rhodes at the FBI's DC field office if you want to verify." They didn't call. Beaumont's eyes flicked toward Elysia, still standing behind the reception desk. The admin didn't say a word, didn't explain what she saw or why she called. "Sir, we need you to sit on the floor, hands where we can see them," Sterling said louder this time. Silas slowly lowered himself, never breaking eye contact. Upstairs, the elevator started moving, and the person inside was about to change everything. Silas sat on the cold tile, palms flat, laptop bag untouched beside him. His breathing stayed steady, but his eyes tracked every movement where their hands hovered, How close they stood, what wasn't said aloud. Across the lobby, Alicia fidgeted. She wasn't sure what she expected, but it wasn't this. She looked at the floor, then at Silas, then at the officers, then back at the floor again. Her face tightened. She didn't speak. Officer Sterling kept his stance wide and voice firm. "Are you armed, sir?" he asked. Silas replied evenly, "Yes." Bureau issued Glock 19, concealed on my right hip, fully authorized. Credentials are in the side pocket of my bag. Sterling didn't move or respond. He just watched as Beaumont took a half step toward the bag. Silas saw her reach the left side zip silver badge case with photo ID inside. "I'm Special Agent Silas Mercer, badge number 79261, he said. Beaumont crouched, unzipped the pocket, and carefully removed the case. She opened it. Photo, badge, credentials, everything real, everything valid. Her eyes flicked back to Silas, then up at Sterling. "Looks legit," she said quietly. Sterling didn't relax. "Still need to confirm," he muttered. Silas didn't look surprised. "You can radio FBI field ops in DC or call Agent Jennifer Rhodes directly. I'm sure she'll answer." He sounded calm, but it was the kind of calm you wear like armor. Tension thickened even though Beaumont now had all she needed. Sterling didn't know how to de-escalate once he'd already escalated. The lobby doors opened again. 2 building security guards entered, one older, one new. Neither said much. They just took in the scene: a federal agent on the floor, 2 cops hovering above him, and a receptionist who looked like she wished she'd never picked up the phone. The older guard whispered something to Beaumont. She nodded. Silas shifted. "Look, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I'm not a threat. I'm just doing my job. I'm not going to reach for anything without you saying so." Beaumont stood fully now, badge case in hand, and looked at Sterling. "We should call it in." But Sterling still stared at Silas, unsure what to do next. It had only been 5 minutes, but felt like 30. Then came a sound they didn't expect, the soft ding of the elevator behind them. The doors slid open, and out stepped Agent Jennifer Rhodes, sharp in a navy pantsuit, shoulder-length red hair tucked behind one ear, FBI badge clipped to her waist. She held a slim portfolio in one hand and a travel coffee in the other. She looked ready for a briefing, not a confrontation, but the moment her eyes landed on Silas on the floor, 2 officers standing over him, the lobby tense as a coiled spring, she stopped cold. What the hell is going on? Her voice cut clean through the silence. Everyone turned. Silas didn't flinch. "Good morning, Jennifer." She walked forward, not hurrying, but not slow either. "Why is my lead investigator on the floor?" Sterling hesitated. "Mom, we responded to a suspicious person call." This man, Jennifer interrupted, "is Special Agent Silas Mercer. He's here with my full authority. You've got his badge in your hand, so I'll ask again, why is he on the floor?" Officer Beaumont stepped in. "Ma'am, we were told he was behaving strangely. Security asked us to check it out. He said he had a weapon, so we followed protocol." Jennifer didn't raise her voice, but she was no longer asking. "Did he resist?" "No." "Did he threaten anyone?" "No." "So you saw a black man standing in a lobby with the Bluetooth in his ear, and the immediate next move was to put him on the ground?" She looked at Sterling. "Is that what we're doing now?" He didn't answer. Silas stood up slowly. 7 minutes, he said, brushing off his jeans. "That's how long I sat there while they stared at me like I might blow up the building." Jennifer's jaw tightened. "You're good to go," she told him, then handed Beaumont a business card. "If you need to confirm his identity, my direct number's on there. He's been with the Bureau 12 years, and I've worked with him for 6. You find more commendations on him than most agents earn in 2 decades. Beaumont took the card. Sterling did not. Alicia from reception stepped forward, voice trembling. I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to take chances." Silas looked at her, tired but calm. "Funny thing," he said evenly. "I was standing right next to the directory. You could have just asked my name." Alicia's mouth opened, then closed. But Jennifer wasn't done. She stepped closer to the officer's, voice low but sharp. "Before I came in, Agent Mercer reviewed a transfer file this morning, interest in our behavioral analysis unit. Name on it: K.S. Sterling." The lobby was silent. Sterling blinked, stunned. You applied, she continued. You listed your academy record, field experience, even de-escalating a domestic call alone. Solid file. I flagged it for interview, thought you had good instincts. Could have made a great analyst. Instead, you spent 7 minutes sizing up a colleague in your lobby. Sterling's throat moved, but no words came. Jennifer met his gaze. You saw what you expected to see and never asked. That's bias. It doesn't have to be violent to be dangerous. She turned to Beaumont. You read his badge. You knew it checked out. You didn't press the issue. You should have. Silas nodded once. We don't choose the moments that test us, he said quietly, only how we handle them. The elevator dinged again and the Gray Bridge executive stepped out. Jennifer nodded to Silas. Ready for the briefing? He asked. Yeah, let's go. Before they walked off, Silas turned back to Sterling. Voice low and steady. Remember this, the only difference between you and me in that lobby was that I knew who I was. Sterling said nothing, he had no answer. The doors closed and upstairs it was business as usual. Downstairs, everything had changed. Officer Beaumont approached Sterling quietly. You okay? He didn't answer at first. I joined the bureau to make a real difference, he finally said. Beaumont nodded gently. Maybe today was your first chance. Sterling X Mercer D.I. still on the empty elevator doors. Didn't feel like it, he admitted. Beaumont glanced at the empty reception desk. No, she said softly, but maybe it still can. What neither knew yet was that one officer was about to make a choice that would change everything. Upstairs, the meeting wrapped an hour later. Silas Mercer shook hands, packed up, and headed for the elevator alone, the weight of the morning pressing on his shoulders. When the doors opened on the lobby, he expected it to be empty, but there was Beaumont, leaning against a column, arms crossed. He passed without a word, but she stepped forward. Agent Mercer, she began, voice steady. I stayed because I needed to say this. I read your badge, saw your credentials, but I let you sit there as if you were lying. I didn't ask why. I didn't intervene. Silas stopped. Why tell me now? He asked. Because I refuse to be someone who sees the truth too late and walks away. Her honesty hung between them. Apologies don't erase fear, Silas said quietly, but accountability starts with saying it out loud. Beaumont met his gaze. I thought I knew bias, she admitted, but I didn't realize it could wear a uniform like mine. Silas gave a small, tired smile. It wears all kinds of things, suits, scrubs, even security shirts. As he moved toward the exit, he paused. Tell Sterling the interview's still on, he called back. But I won't be the only one talking. Outside, the rain-slicked parking lot was half full and silent until Sterling stepped out from behind a patrol cruiser, arms folded. Silas slowed. Sterling straightened. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Silas asked, You waiting for something? Sterling shook his head. I didn't want to leave like that. Silas didn't reply. Sterling looked ahead and said, This morning I thought I knew who I was. I thought I'd never let something like that happen on my watch. Now I realize I've just been lucky no one challenged me before. Silas let the wordless moment stretch, the overcast sky and distant car tires hissing on wet asphalt framing the weight of that confession. You know, Silas said, in the bureau we study patterns, behavior, psychology, decisions people don't even know they're making. Sterling listened. But we never talk about how we aren't immune to those same patterns ourselves. Sterling looked down. I messed up. Silas nodded. Yeah, you did. But this isn't about saving face. It's about whether you're willing to learn something uncomfortable and keep showing up. Sterling met his eyes. I still want that bureau job. Silas handed him a folded sheet of paper. What's this? Sterling asked. Prep questions for your interview, real scenarios. Use it or don't. Your call. Sterling unfolded it, scanning the page. Silas paused at the edge of the lot. Next time you walk into a room, he said, don't just see what's there. Ask yourself what you might be missing. Then he walked to his car, keys in hand. Sterling stood alone, holding a page that felt heavier than paper because it was a mirror he hadn't been ready to face. Stories like this don't always end in shouting matches or handcuffs. Sometimes they end in quiet realizations, questions we'd rather avoid, and silences that finally lead to understanding. We can't fix what we won't face, and we can't move forward if we pretend there's nothing to fix. A month has passed, and the lobby of the Crestwood Business Center feels different. Building management quietly rolled out new visitor screening procedures. Every guest now checks in with a photo ID at reception, and security guards receive implicit bias training. Alicia returned to her desk with a new sense of purpose. She completed workshops on cultural awareness, and now greets every visitor with a polite, "How may I help you?" instead of suspicion. Officer Sterling's transfer request to the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit is still under review, but he no longer waits for favors. He volunteered for extra community policing shifts, led a seminar on de-escalation techniques, and sends monthly progress reports to Special Agent Mercer. At night, he reviews the prep sheet Silas handed him, not to justify himself, but to keep learning. Special Agent Mercer's cybercrime briefing went off without a hitch, and his role in exposing the stop has earned him quiet praise from colleagues. Graybridge Analytics updated its suspicious person policy, making every call for assistance require a direct conversation with front desk staff before officers are dispatched. Jennifer Rhodes checks in regularly to ensure that those new procedures stick, and to remind everyone that respect is earned in those first 7 seconds. In the corner office, a framed photo of Silas standing for his rights now hangs alongside a memo, a reminder that power must be questioned. The story's ripples haven't faded. They've reshaped protocols, restored trust, and turned one awkward confrontation into lasting reform. Silence no longer feels like the safest option, and one quiet act of accountability has set an example that the entire building still remembers every day. 3 months later, the Crestwood Business Center lobby feels unrecognizable. The check-in desk now features an electronic kiosk that prompts every guest to state their purpose, and receptionists rotate through weekly bias awareness workshops. Alicia Thorpe, once hesitant, now leads those sessions, sharing her own story and reminding colleagues that asking questions costs far less than assumptions. Officer Sterling's transfer to the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit has been approved pending continued community work, and he's kept his promise. He's co-facilitating de-escalation drills with rookie academy instructors in Riverbend. Special Agent Mercer drops in to observe, offering feedback on how a few firm words can realign entrenched habits, a reminder that true leadership is earned every day. At Graybridge Analytics, suspicious person guidelines now require a brief manager interview before calling security, and every incident log references the lobby confrontation as a turning point. Jennifer Rhodes reviews these policy updates monthly, ensuring they're more than words on paper. What began with 7 tense minutes on a quiet Tuesday has blossomed into an ongoing culture shift, proof that a single act of accountability, followed by sustained commitment, can redesign an entire system. 1 month later, the lobby staff at Crestwood Business Center is already logging bias incident reports in a shared database that flags patterns and triggers manager alerts before security is ever called. Alicia Thorpe has led 4 unconscious bias workshops for reception teams across Riverbend. Attendance is required before anyone can cover a front desk shift. Officer Aria Beaumont quietly requested that her department include de-escalation review in every roll call. Meanwhile, Kaya Sterling has started mentoring new officers on humility in the field, citing 7 minutes on cold tile as his turning point. At 3 months, Graybridge Analytics updated its contractor policy. Any employee can request a private verification call before security responds. The Riverbend County PD now co-hosts quarterly community forums with Special Agent Silas Mercer, where civilians and officers practice respectful stops and role-play scenarios. Sterling has co-authored an internal memo on interrogation versus conversation, and his first class of cadets rated his session on empathy 4.8 out of 5. Alicia's workshops inspired a local cafe chain to train their baristas on customer profiling too. 6 months on, the impact is measurable. Security call wait times at Crestwood have dropped 60% because staff feel empowered to question suspicious alerts before dialing 911. Community trust metrics for Riverbend PD rose by 28% in spring surveys. Officer Sterling was formally accepted into the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, where he co-leads a task force on reducing bias in small-town policing. Special Agent Mercer now advises other federal offices on implementing floor-level feedback loops. What began as one tense stop, a badge raised, a hand on a holster, a black agent on the floor, has become an ongoing movement for accountability. It shows that systemic change doesn't happen overnight, but can begin when individuals choose to learn, teach, and stand firm rather than look away. 6 months isn't the end of the story, it's the proof that justice, once summoned, can reshape policies, minds, and entire communities. Note: this story is entirely fictional and created for the purpose of raising awareness. It highlights issues of responsibility, justice, and the importance of treating everyone with respect and dignity. We firmly oppose violence, prejudice, and injustice in all forms. Viewer discretion is advised.